You want to feel put together and accomplish all of your goals in one day? Put in some vetiver. You want to have a date night with a loved one? Put in some Gourmand vetiver. You want to hang out with friends for a wild night of who knows what in your dreams? Put on some Smoky vetiver. Vetiver is just, it's just it. If you haven't worn it yourself or smelled it on others, you haven't lived.
Hi friends, I'm Meliora. Welcome to my channel. We are talking about one of the staples when it comes to a perfume experience and just general olfactory experience. Vetiver is a accord, as it's not just like one thing. Vetiver is a whole family of smells and fragrances, therefore that has been with us since the ancient times. So the beauty and actual therapeutical effect of vetiver that is fairly well known, especially in the natural essential oils community and the religious community, it goes back centuries. And basically, one of the most beautiful things about the vetiver scents is that they're both grounded and earthy. At the same time, they're like, so they kind of bring you back to nature, can bring you back to your physiological experience, yet they're very cerebral, intellectual, and focused. And that's why they were used in a lot of religious ceremonies and in healing practices for kind of calming down the nervous system, for achieving certain mental balance, including certain spiritual awakening, to reach certain spiritual awakening points in a lot of religious practices, especially in the Eastern countries. So when I entered the world of fragrances, and it's still probably one of the best selling essential oils. So if you want to go that route, by all means, and that will actually give you a lot of context into a more kind of high-end perfumery that we're going to be talking about today. But generally, vetiver oil can smell very different ways depending on, I mean, just like with wines, like what year they got it from, what crop, how they particularly achieved the distilled it or extracted it, like the chemical procedures, like the factory that it happened to, like how sunny it was on that particular day. There are many facets. So the vetiver itself, even if you try to get it in its purest form, it doesn't exist. It's a family of smells. Most of the time, it gives you, as I said, this kind of grounded, at the same time is earthy but focused. While patchouli, another like big staple in the world of fragrances and spiritual olfactory experiences, many others, and essential oils therapy, patchouli is more earthy and less cerebral. Vetiver is that one unicorn that kind of allows us to merge the both halves of our brain together. It's very of this world. At the same time, it can go in many ways. It can be citrusy, it can be nutty, pasty and oily and almost gourmand. It can be very cold and mineral. This is why I absolutely adore vetiver. Have you even tried anything with vetiver? You haven't smelled it on anyone? You're officially not from this planet, because even if you don't know what it is or you haven't heard of it before, you're surrounded with vetiver scents everywhere. So that said, the name of the vetiver fragrances is a legion. It's an army. There will be not enough perfume reviewers in the world to even like count all of them. All of the fragrances, basically probably 70 to 80% of fragrances contain the molecules that compose the vetiver accord, and probably a fair, I dare say 10% of all fragrances are dedicated to vetiver or have it in its name. When I started my search for the perfect vetiver for me, for my aesthetic kind of taste, I think I went through probably 50 at this point. And I'm gonna show you a very very curated selection that I assembled in my personal collection, and I can't wait to hear what kind of vetiver scents have you sampled before, what are your favorites, and what are the ones you can't wear at all. I'm gonna start with just to get it out of the way, perfect vetiver. Like, I'm not gonna complete the ranking with it. I'm gonna start with it because this is so well-rounded that it's almost a good departure point for them to explain why I have more than one. So the perfect vetiver for me, and like already, like my whole room smells of vetiver. I have like blotters everywhere. This is, yeah, this is this piece of paper. Yeah, do you recognize it? This is Prada, Effusions de Prada. Effusions de Vetiver. It has been reformulated at least once, but to what I hear is pretty much the same. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have a slightly older packaging. I bought it secondhand. I used up a miniature, something of like this size, completely. And I bought a huge set of Prada colognes, and I think I have a review of them, if I'm not mistaken, on my channel. It was spring 2020. If I can't find it, I will. If I don't, please ping me. I'll find the review for you. And I basically sampled the Prada colognes because, to me, they are probably the best on the market when it comes to quality, sophistication versus the price point. And oddly enough, the Prada cologne that started the whole line, and that's devoted to Iris, I didn't love as much. To me, it was a little bit melancholic. I don't want to say boring, but like, to me, it was just a bit, it didn't have enough vivacity. The vetiver, though, to me, that's what Prada cologne line is all about. I adore vetiver. There are basically three from the Prada line, basically. Long story cut short, the three that I really want in my collection is vetiver, rose, and almond. My life would be complete if I had these three. Let me refresh it a little bit. It's just perfect for any occasion. It's light, slightly powdery or dusty in a way. The citrusy notes here are so subtle that they don't really dominate. It's not a citrusy cologne by any means. I'm not a big fan of those. As much as I respect their original kind of like Italian formula of making eau de cologne, it's not what I gravitate towards. Here, everything it's just such a fine craft of notes that are, they both skin-like without having any kind of lotiony effect or creamy effect or musky effect. There's nothing creamy or musky about it. There's nothing super citrusy about it. There's nothing too leathery about it. There's nothing super mineral about it. There's nothing oily about it. This is basically a vetiver dust. I love it. I love it for work. I love it basically for any occasion. This is a vetiver that I would wear when I want something with vetiver, but I don't want anything super specific. I don't want the fragrance to wear me. I want to be the one who wears the fragrance. Prada Infusion de Vetiver is my perfect vetiver. I can't be without it. I love it. It's needless to say, all fragrances with vetiver are not about the gender at all. This is one accord that transcends any potential marketing ploys you might encounter. So yeah, this is for everyone. Like, basically, if I could, I would put up spraying stations at every office building. So that every time a person gets in, they get like one spray, just one. And that the world would become a better place. People would stop getting pissed off for no reason. People would stop the endless portrayals of toxic masculinity or exaggerated femininity either. People will just become these beautiful, loving, smart, sensual beings as I see them at their ideal state. I love it. the best, just hands down. If there is only one that I would recommend you to try, especially if you're a novice when it comes to specific notes, accords, if you're just still trying to make it work for you, Prada Infusion de Vetiver, man, this is just effortless. It's perfect, it's effortless. Okay, now I have to, just to get it out of the question, to talk about one of the best-selling vetivers on the planet. It kind of encapsulated everything that's best about designer fragrance for men. It's marketed for men. It's absolutely 100% unisex. As I said, like, I don't need to say it every single time. Vetiver is, it's like feminine or masculine tomato is not that kind of accord that you can corner anywhere. And that's what I love it for. So Terre d'Hermès comes to me very close to Prada. It's just I prefer Prada a little bit more for its somewhat demure intellectual appeal. Vetiver in Terre d'Hermès is just uniquely balanced, but this one, it's basically Prada minus the powdery, slightly dusty notes, a little bit less of that demure intellectuality. Here we get a little bit more of a freshness, kind of men's in suits kind of freshness, but it still stays within the balance of so-called good taste, something that a lot of people find rather boring, but everybody knows you can't go wrong with. It's universally comforting yet refreshing. It has a signature of this particular vetiver scent that it's slightly oceanic and mineral, but only so slightly. For example, to give you a comparison with another bestseller, which I think is cheaper, is Encre Noir by Lalique, which is devoted to the ink. Like this, just basically like the old school style of writing with ink pens and fountain pens. That one, the Lalique Encre Noir, is way colder, stony. There, the minerality, so-called minerality of the scent is very austere. I bought it. I tried to wear it for the longest time, and I eventually had to just give up. I think I gave it away or something like that. It was just like way too aesthetic for my taste. Terre d'Hermès I can wear. I mean, I already have my perfect vetiver. I already told you my story, but I'm highly approving of anyone who chooses that as their day scent. It's just, to me, it's like the scent of an aspiring manager. It's very, very appropriate on so many levels that, again, compliments to the chef. But we have to move on. We have a lot to show you. Okay. So when we're talking about the morning kind of vetiver, I would heavily consider, if I were you, to find something that is bergamot plus vetiver or citrus plus vetiver. And I don't think I can find a better candidate for a kind of light, citrusy, uplifting, very, very much like a wake up in the morning kind of scent as Diptyque Vetiverio. I got a sample here, and like top notch, just top notch. Granted, at this point, with Zara issuing perfumes, H&M issuing perfumes, about like 100,000 sustainable, organic, soliflores, and like all kinds of new niche fragrance lines that are offering kind of 3-note, 2-note accord type of fragrances. There are a lot of options. You have a ton of options, and at this point I can't even orient you there because to me they all smell about the same. So that's good news. You basically can grab any citrusy vetiver and like feel fine to wear it as like a body mist and something for the morning. And again, you can share, right? Like you can share it with your dogs, with your kids, with your husbands, with your wives, like with your grandparents, whoever you find it to. Again, vetiver is one of those scents that you just can't go wrong with. But, if you are a history snob like me, if you have a soft spot for something historic, with a, you know, like with all of these little details and then the storyline and the genealogical tree of fragrances, you will probably enjoy having a citrusy vetiver from Diptyque, one of the oldest niche houses that are still surviving the winds of modern marketing and like the modern way of doing business. So Vetiverio by Diptyque, just one of the most elegant vetiver citrusy scents that comes kind of with branding, you know, with the pedigree of something that you can kind of, yeah, that's my Diptyque. That's just something for the morning, you know. So I really enjoy it. It's great. Totally would wear it. The other version that I got for review is Chantecaille. Chantecaille vetiver is probably more known to people who come from a hyperluxe world of beauty products and makeup. However, me kind of coming at it from a different angle, from like the worldwide huge market of vetiver fragrances, the Chantecaille vetiver is also citrusy, but it's way more bitter. It kind of takes bergamoty, citrusy freshness to a whole another level that I personally can't quite pull off. But it will certainly make you wake up. It will certainly force you to pull your thoughts together and focus on the task at hand. It's high quality, I would give it that. I mean, it's in no way in anyhow worse than, let's say, same Diptyque or Atkinson's or other kind of like British style blending type of niche perfume houses. It's just, I'm not sure that I would really search for it unless I was already like a big fan of Chantecaille as a brand. And they do have a lot of really cool products. They are very selective and very kind of high-end when it comes to the products that they make. I do like it. I don't love it. If I had to choose between citrusy vetivers, I probably, as I said, I would go for, you know, again, there are so many options. They're all about the same, to be honest, to my nose. But I would go for Diptyque, as I said, for add-on bonus of unique, beautiful packaging and incredible history that comes with sampling something from that house. Okay, now let's go toward soft and creamy vetivers. This is what I call working from home vetiver. It's something that when you do need to get a lot of things done, but you definitely absolutely feel like you need another vacation. So it's when you're really trying to hold it together and you just need that extra cream, you know, in your coffee. You just need a little bit more soothing quality from your environment, because maybe you're a little bit agitated, maybe you're a little bit nervous, maybe you're just really spread thin and tired. So soft, creamy vetivers come to rescue. And the one without which we couldn't even talk about this category, the one that nailed that category to the T with their marketing, is Etat Libre d'Orange Semi-Modern Vetiver Fat Electrician. Funky, funny, like I encourage you to read the description on the website. They have like a whole kind of funny, little bit of a hooliganish type of description and story dedicated to each perfume. This included. It's about this kind of like I don't know, popular guy in high school who like never ended up doing anything with his life, but he's like this kind of comforting high school ex-boyfriend kind of character. You know, somebody who you always want to hang out with, but you don't necessarily want to build your life with. I'm not sure if I'm like over reading there into their story. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But semi-modern vetiver, also called fat electrician, basically gives you this almost milky, lactonic wrapping And the milkiness here, I want to say it's vanilla, but it's not really the kind of vanilla that you can feel, you know, like there are a lot of fragrances that just say vanilla, here you go. This is not it. This is why I call it milky. It's like lactonic presence that kind of creates a almost like a soft furry ball around a more sturdy, narrow, metallic type of vetiver here. Vetiver here, oddly enough, comes in contrast with this kind of milky creamy base, and it in the vetiver here has almost like a metallic undertone to it. It's kind of fun, not gonna lie, because it's both, and I think that's why they talk about electrician, because the metallic notes could make you think of, you know, like electrical wiring. I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that I smell, I don't know, dirty, oily hair and the electrical wiring. No, I would say lactonic, creamy wrapping through like a little like white fluffy cashmere ball, through which goes a sort of like a metallic, very sturdy vetiver rod. It's basically quintessentially working from home kind of fragrance. And the other options that I've been considering, and one of them I already have, and this is a hard one for me to describe. This is Serge Lutens. This is for those of you guys who would like to sample niche but don't want to spend too much money on it. Here and there you can find older formulations of Serge Lutens in these type of packaging for $50 to $90, which is a really great price for the historic niche house that it is. They also make very conceptual, sometimes hard to wear fragrances, kind of in similar fashion as the Totally Berderange, but Serge Lutens was there first, and I guess their concepts are a little bit more refined. They're a little bit more melancholic in a very deep sense. Most of the scents by Serge Lutens are really not about the shock value. They're not about the kitschy or vibrant type of statement. Yet, if they are like ones from Harry Potter world, Serge Lutens fragrances choose you. You don't choose them. You can hear incredible reviews. You can buy one and it's nothing on you. It just doesn't open up. It just doesn't live on your skin. And sometimes magic happens. And you can smell something from the blotter and a completely different story on you, on your skin. So, not something that I would recommend to buy blindly, but at the same time, it's probably the only way to purchase them, to be honest. I'll do the best I can to describe it for you. So here we have Serge Lutens Vetiver Oriental. It says that here vetiver is wrapped with soft Moroccan spices. And it comes dangerously close in my mind to my perfect vetiver. Every once in a while I kind of use them interchangeably. At least on the blotter, they both have this quality of being universally balanced, very, very balanced. Less, but surprisingly so. Here we hear about Oriental spices, but I get almost more of that kind of dusty, spicy, powdery quality here. And on my skin, Vetiver Oriental becomes a little bit sharper and a little bit just a little bit more green in a way. While on the blotter, and I think that's a more objective way to evaluate it, it's creamier, it's softer, and it has this very fine veil of thinly milled spices. What is it? Cardamom, maybe some pepper, some like softer, sweeter kitchen type spices. Again, a very prominent candidate for a perfect vetiver for somebody is just, you know, on my skin, one wears better than the other. But it's incredible. And the other one that I've been considering to buy, and I got myself a miniature, and it's basically what prompted me to make this video, because I had to make an executive decision and actually figure out, do I need another vetiver in my collection? This is Elie Saab Essence number 6 Vetiver. I have it here. I have Elie Saab Essence number 1 Rose, which is an incredibly rare type of rose, which is spicy parfait, not jammy, not syrupy, not Bulgarian, not in any way an oud type of rose, or let's not talk about roses now. I have another Elie Saab boutique line essence, and I thought I love it so much and it's so special, probably the vetiver is going to be just as special as maybe even Gourmand vetiver. At the time I was really into Gourmand vetivers, but when I got it I realized that it really is not Gourmand at all. We're gonna talk about Gourmands next, but this, I would say, is very much run-of-the-mill type of vetiver. It's a little bit spicy, it's a little bit aromatic, but it doesn't really go in any other direction. It's not bitter, it's not mineral, it's not super spicy, it's not creamy. It's just kind of there. And given the fact that I already have a few that are very much within that realm, and even like the best sellers like Terre d'Hermes or fun kind of shock value juxtaposition of creamy vetiver like I have in Tad Libre d'Orange, it just wasn't really adding enough value to my collection that I decided that I'm just gonna use it up. This is still 5 ml. Like, I can have a love affair month long with this vetiver if I want to. I don't think I'm gonna buy it, but you don't need all of these. If for whatever reason something doesn't vibe right with you, for example, this doesn't last long enough, this is not available or too expensive, Elie Saab, every once in a while you can find their boutique line for around $50–80 in different discount stores. This is again a very safe buy if you want to introduce yourself to the world of vetiver fragrances and you just want to have like a benchmark, you know, like a vetiver fragrance from which you can depart and kind of sample different facets. It's just so well balanced. It's lasts longer than the Prada. It's very close to Serge Lutens, just a little less creamy, a little less spicy. Now we're talking about something that I feel like half of you were here for this category of vetivers, gourmands. I never thought that vetiver could be made sexy, but how wrong I was. I have 3 here for you that to me is a quintessentially gourmand vetivers. First, let's start from Madrona, House of Matriarch. Here it is. It's not really listed as a gourmand vetiver. It's listed actually as salty oceanic opening with, I don't remember, like green something vetiver oil. But the vetiver oil, as I told you, can have a lot of different facets and a lot of different flavors. And vetiver oil can smell like nutty, like a nutty paste, you know, like, I don't know, almond paste or peanuts paste, hazelnut paste, just general kind of finely blended nuts. And here, in Madrona specifically, I get that nutty flavor, and I love it. Probably, let me double check. Yeah, this is the strongest with the most potent projection of all of the fragrances that I'm going to show you today. This is the powerhouse kind of fragrance. As I hear a lot of House of Matriarch fragrances are, I guess for like they're pretty expensive, and this is artisan perfumery. And I think, at least if Madrona is representative of what they make, this is pretty awesome. It seems like it would be worth the price if you really care about projection, about longevity, about the trail that you leave behind. I do hear the kind of salty oceanic notes at the beginning, but they really allow this vetiver to stay put and not to kind of blend and to completely melt into the nuttiness and the oily paste that I feel underneath. It's really cool stuff. It's very potent stuff. I only wear it with one spray, at max 2. Another one that I have in full-size bottle is Mona D'Orio. Unfortunately, the new packaging, I don't really love the design here, and it's actually very uncomfortable to wear because the spray is very short. The lid constantly falls apart, and the names, as you can see, completely wash over. The packaging leaves a lot to be desired here. If you can find Mona D'Orio in their older packaging that kind of looks like a champagne cork, this is all the rage. I mean, there's a lot of fragrances that I would be willing to let go of to get one of the older Mona D'Orio bottles. So, nevertheless, the newer edition of Mona D'Orio Vetiver. To me, this is very deep green, spicy, and in a way these transitions, it's kind of like melds and molds in between ambery, patchouli like and spicy vetiver. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long on my skin. I don't know why, because that kind of depth and richness, you think, oh, I'm gonna smell this for a week on my clothing. Not really. It stays close to your skin, but it's delicious. It's in a way deliciously melancholic. There's some kind of nostalgia here for the better, greener days in our lives. And to me, it's the best type of perfume to wear when it's yucky and rainy outside. It's just, you don't have to fight that weather. It kind of embraces that kind of weather and puts you in the very Hemingway type of mood. Amazing. It's kind of very collector's worthy type of item, not gonna lie to you. And the last one, after all of the praise that I sang to the previous 2 Gourmands, this is actually my favorite, and I don't have it in full-size bottle. This is how much I have left. This was a PR sample that I got when I was traveling in Europe, and this is Noble Royale Majestic. Okay, I'll put the name here. There's something royal or majestic about this vetiver. The Noble Royale is one of those very hard to find niche brands that has elusive fruits. So on one hand, I think it's based in Saudi Arabia. At the same time, as far as I understand, the artistic director, the brand founder, has Ukrainian roots, and the collection that of the portraits by Noble Royale is dedicated to the royal dynasty of Russia, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of different, almost contradicting traditions are blended here, and I think it's one of the most amazing fusions that I've experienced in a long time. So it combines kind of the lust for lusciousness and hard luxury that you can find in eastern parts of Eurasia with refinement and attention to detail that comes from, you know, like a more like Eastern and Western European school of crafting perfumes. So Noble Royale Vetiver. I'm gonna call it majestic. I'm sorry, I just don't want to butcher the French word. It's everything. It's the perfect Gourmand vetiver. Then there's so much in here. It's both a little bit leathery, tobacco-y, but it's also has these sweet spices. You know, that being cinnamon, cardamom, maybe even cumin. I don't know. It's just there's so much in here, and certain almost fruity sweetness in the heart of it, kind of that blends it all together, but doesn't dominate the accord. And the vetiver that kind of almost plays a role of a blanket that wraps all of these notes together. While in all the previous fragrances that we discussed, vetiver was playing a rather dominant role, sometimes with equal contrast was to something else like creamy lactonic notes here. But largely, vetiver was pretty much, that was it. That was what you're getting. But here, you only recognize vetiver when you lived with this fragrance for a while. I am in despair. I can't get it for a reasonable price. It's not that easy to get. I feel like you have to order it from either Russia or Saudi Arabia at this point. I'm not sure where else it's sold. Maybe London. I think everything is sold in London at this point. Paris, London, Moscow, and Abu Dhabi. These are the places where you do fragrance shopping these days. In the States, I have no idea. So if you guys know of any amazing Gourmand vetivers, please let me know, because I'm nearing the end of it, and every time I spray it, it's like, this is it. And I try to kind of satisfy myself. Well, I have Mona d'Orio. Well, I have Madrona. But this is kind of deep green and almost melancholic type of vetiver for, like, I don't know, for a brisk walk in Edinburgh on a rainy October afternoon. I don't know. And here it's so nutty and salty at the same time. But when it comes to the perfectly majestic, opulent, happy, but not too sweet type of vetiver, I still don't have anything that comes close to the Noble Royale. Let's move on. Let's move on from my personal tragedy. Talking of deep green vetivers, I actually have a new one that I'm trying to evaluate against Mona d'Orio. This is the one that I got from Montal, and this is Vetiver Patchouli, a very common combination. Probably, I don't know, a third of all vetiver heavy fragrances comes with a heavy dose of patchouli. Again, the name of it is a legion. There's so many of them. And to be honest, Montal, and here I have the sample here, Montal does pretty confident, easy to wear, user-friendly, strong, long-lasting patchouli scents. They're not as keen on vetiver for some reason, but patchouli and ouds, they nailed those. They have a flavor for any mood, for any person. So, patchouli, Vetiver Patchouli by Montal. It's, yeah, I would call it like a green note accord, you know, the green accord. It's non-specific mono-accord type of deep, somewhat mossy, like wet greenness that is both pleasant and yet boring to me. I would consider buying it, but not before I completely finish the bottle of Vetiver by Mona d'Orio. This to me is what the green, kind of deep vetiver is all about. Here, I would say it's kind of like a knockoff type of version. It's fun. I imagine a lot of people would enjoy wearing it if you're into fougères, if you're into green fragrances and patchouli fragrances in general. But is it special? Not really. Okay, this is my latest obsession. This is something that I got fairly recently and in winter of 2020, and it's just, it opened a chapter of Smoky vetivers for me, and it basically closed it. I'm done. I'm done. I have one. I don't need options. This is it. A Smoky vetiver. This is Miller Harris Vetiver Insolent. I swapped it with a perfume friend of mine, Bella from New York. I don't know. It's simple. It's vetiver, and it's kind of these like smoky, yeah, basically smoke and vetiver. The smoke here is not too bitter, it's not too austere. It's kind of earthy, kind of smoky. It could probably, there's something of a patchouli there as well. It's just smoky vetiver. It's simple. It's not too prominent. I don't like when the fragrance wears me. I like to be the one who wears the fragrance. I would rather spray more in an hour than to be smothered by a scent. And this is exactly it. Basically, I just like 5 sprays, an hour later, 2 sprays, 2 hours later, 2 sprays, and it's just, I can keep going. I can keep going with this. This is oddly enough a smoky vetiver that I can bathe myself in. I love it. It's fun. It's not that often that we can hear a perfume blogger say fun about smoky fragrance, right? Usually people talk about some masculinity or this or that, or that. It's fun. It's actually fun. So if you're into that kind of stuff, if you want to have a night out with friends, just enjoy the life in online by Skyping to each other, so to speak, put this on. That will help you cope. And the last one we're going to talk about today is an honorary mention. I got a decant from a friend who wanted to share the love. And again, if you guys want to send any fragrances or do a blind tasting, test my ability to smell things, my blogger address is below. I always love when you send me little samples, when you share things that you love or things that you hate and want a second opinion on, or again, blind tastings. Is like, it's both nerve-wracking and super fun. So this was a care package from a subscriber. This is so bizarre. This is a candy vetiver. Not something I smell often. It's Yves Rocher Cuir Vetiver. Basically leather vetiver. Honest to God, I don't smell any leather here, but I do smell hard candy. I don't know, it's weird. I guess, in a way, it's also fun and flirty, but it's also weird. I don't know. I'm like, I don't have a set opinion on it, but I'm sure there is someone somewhere out there who is looking for a hard candy with a flavor of vetiver. You can find it here. And it's actually very affordable. Yves Rocher Cuir Vetiver. So weird. And now I have 5 ml. So maybe. I'll give it a go in spring. We'll see how it goes. All right. Okay. I am done for today. Now it's your turn. I'm sure a lot of you are sitting itching there. How can you not mention Guerlain Vetiver? How can you mention, like, I don't know, original Vetiver by Creed? How can you not mention this? How can you not mention that? How can you not mention Frederic Malle, this Vetiver extraordinaire? I know, there's so many amazing Vetivers. I need to limit myself somewhere, right? We cannot be here all day. And also I wanted to show you what vetivers I personally chose in my collection with a few honorable mentions. But it is a big world of scents, and it is the one that luckily unites us all. You know, men, women, non-binary, old, young, hip, conservative, you name it. Vetiver, I think, should be the scent of 2021, because God knows we need unity. God knows we need to hold each other's hands and rediscover how beautiful and amazing it is to agree. That said, please share your favorite vetivers. If you have any advice, recommendations, things that did work for you, things that didn't work for you, what kind of scents in general bring you both, kind of ground you and bring you calm in your mind, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the new video.